It is safe to say a new villain was born this episode in the form of soulless Diana. We will get into all of that and how that unfolds, plus how it relates to years past Munchausen drama. But first, we start with finally meeting new friend to the show, Sharee Zampino, who is a friend of Garcelle Beauvais, and they put their best designer chilly brisk walk day outfits on to catch up over a warm caffeinated beverage in the suburbs of Los Angeles, likely not Beverly Hills 90210 proper, but I'll forgive them for now. We learned that Sheree actually just got back from celebrating her birthday in London with Big Daddy, she calls, which is her ex-husband and baby daddy, actor Will Smith. Yes, the Oscar slap Will Smith. And after Garcelle inquires more, Sheree says Jada Pinkett Smith, Will's wife, was not present at that party, adding Jada has her own life and her own thing, which is kind of the first confirmation I can remember of someone close to that situation confirming the open exploratory marriage lifestyle that the famous couple Will and Jada Pinkett Smith often are rumored to have, but no one really comes out directly and confirms. I know Jada and Will kind of alluded to it on the Red Table Talk, but I just thought this was very interesting to see his ex-wife and baby mama, if you will, confirm this on camera. But we then get a compilation of Sheree making appearances on the show the past few years Garcelle has been on, which I sort of forgot that she had appeared. Although I think some of those clips were actually lost footage that weren't actually shown on the show, indicating though that she may have been on the producer's radar to join the show for many years now. And then we are reminded Garcelle dated Will Smith after he divorced Sheree, but before she met Sheree. So there's no drama there, at least at the moment. But Garcelle also cites Will and Sheree's co-parenting as a great example for her and her ex-husband Mike, sharing how empowering that was to make it work for her and the kids. Well, they end with some ball busting, pun intended, over Sheree's younger COVID bae boyfriend, and Garcelle looking forward to fun at her birthday party, which we will see very, very shortly. But now we are with Crystal doing an Instagram video for a holiday drink with her housekeeper, Lucy, before husband Rob returns home from a long overseas trip, scouting locations for a children's book musical adaptation set in England, where Rob, with his eldest child sitting there present, is pronouncing Norfolk, Norfuck. And of course, everyone, including their son, is like, why'd you say the F word? That can't be the actual pronunciation. Why are you saying the F word? And Crystal says something I think most mothers and wives can attest to, of including their male men in their lives, whether it's their kids or their brothers or their husband, as they're all of them as their children, which is highlighted in this scene. And then you can see they're all laughing because it was pretty funny. And it was actually funny. I saw their son kind of looking off camera. I think he was looking at a producer because someone else must have been laughing too. But Crystal then compares when she goes and sits down with Rob and her brother, her first trip, girls trip last year in Lake Tahoe, with Diana's this year on the Mexico trip we just saw, giving us some insight into actually the timeline of Diana's miscarriage we briefly learned about a few weeks ago with Kyle, and that'll be a theme throughout this episode, so we'll get to that shortly. But quick reaction here. I like seeing this side of the women, especially Crystal, who I haven't really been liking that much recently, and really not overall. But I like seeing her interacting with her kids and her brother and her husband and Lucy, of course. And we will see in a second Kyle and Mauricio, or Kyle doing the same, and then later Garcelle as well. Kelly Dodd also agreed with me on this, how this moment and these moments in general, although they're not as dramatic as the girls arguing with the friend group with each other, it can be just as entertaining, but just in a more relatable way. But now at the Richards Umansky household, Kyle is momming, helping her daughter prepare for her Friendsgiving, with Mauricio being the typical dad man of the house of testing the food and not being very helpful, similar to last scene with Rob and Crystal, of the guys being the jokesters. But while Mauricio will be Kyle's +1 to Garcelle's birthday, Kyle shares she isn't quite sure if Diana will show up because of a text she sent to the group chat. That text, explaining she has been put on bed rest to prevent further bleeding after all the travel and consumption during the girls' trip, triggered more symptoms she had for weeks after her miscarriage, which appears was more recent than we were initially led on to believe when she shared that story with Kyle. But as the girls read the message in their confessional, Garcelle makes a point to tell us Diana misspelled her name, and maybe that was an oversight, but then we learn the end of the message had Diana saying, "Normally I wouldn't share this in a group chat because it makes me sound like a whiny bitch, but Garcelle may think I'm rude, so here it is." And at this point, I'm thinking maybe Diana isn't as tough as she was letting on at the end of last episode, at the end of the trip when she was having drinks in the lobby with Dorit and Kyle. But we will have to table this for now. Before the big party, Erika is doing her photo shoot for her new hair extension line called Pretty Mess Hair. She says it has been a good distraction from her heavy stuff going on in her life, and I was hoping she'd say it was a way to repay the victims, but I'm not holding my breath on anything regarding Erika at this point. But she goes on to play the whole woe is me victim mentality about reading things about her online after all the scandals came to light and how business calls go unanswered now as a result of that. Also adding that no one is coming to save her, so she has to pick up the pieces and do it on her own. And as Erika is being fitted into her outfit, she takes a moment to share about her grandmother's similarity to her, including having a hard exterior but big heart. But she ends with sharing in her confessional a letter she wrote to her grandmother after they all drove from Georgia to Los Angeles back in the day to move Erika, saying, "I love you, but I'm never coming back." And Erika said this with this interesting smile. Now, I get what she was likely going for with this statement of saying, "I'm going to be okay. I'm going to make it here in Los Angeles. This is my new home." But I just continue to get this weird vibe from Erika. Maybe she actually meant that she wants to leave that old life behind and never go back and kind of forget and leave it in the past and not really remember where she came from. I don't know. Maybe Erika was a little vague in her comments, or they cut out more of her comments clarifying what she meant. Let me know what you thought of this in this scene, including if you would spend hundreds, close to $1,000 for hair extensions in general. And in particular, would you pay that much for Erika's line of extensions? Also, side note, she did say she was working on this business pre-COVID, I believe. So her statement about business calls being unanswered to me doesn't exactly line up, because then this extension line likely wouldn't have come to fruition after COVID and after all the scandals. Just a thought. Let me know what you think of that. Next, we are with Sutton over to Dorit's house for the first time since the robbery and their Mexico trip, where we meet Dorit's mom and see footage of Dorit's brother visiting shortly after the break-in. They both sounded very emotional, trying to hold it together for each other, which they seemed to accomplish because I did not see any tears. But now Dorit cites her mom calmly caring for her grandma who had a heart attack mid-flight years ago as what I'm thinking a subtle hint alluding to where Dorit got her inner strength to be so calm during the break-in. But anyway, Sutton and Dorit sit down to chat in the backyard where Sutton shares she is now on testosterone to balance out her hormones. Now, Dorit somehow thinks this is a weird statement that Sutton is citing testosterone for being a little different. Not sure what Dorit meant or what she was alluding to there, but they continue rehashing the trip that they just had in Mexico of the positives of Sutton rebuilding her friendship with Crystal, but negatives of Sutton now beefing with Diana again post passive aggressive seating arrangement drama as they were heading back home from Mexico. Now, Sutton says she thinks Diana got in the crossfire, but reminds us she apologized to Diana immediately for the misdirecting of her attitude, adding the jabs in the group chat message to her friend Garcelle just add to Sutton wanting to keep a close eye on Diana, who she initially thought was gentle, but now thinks Diana may be a sniper. Not a sniper from the side, as I believe Erika called LVP in years past, but just a sniper this time. But now Garcelle arrives home from her talk show hosting gig on The Real on her birthday to get ready for her birthday party with all of her friends, and her three sons are there to greet her, also going to attend the party, including oldest son Oliver, who actually surprised Garcelle on set that day at The Real. And Garcelle continues to be a very proud mom and reminding us how far Oliver has come, coming out of the other side of all these challenges in his life that he has shared with us over the years. But she makes an interesting comment to the boys when she asks them if her glam team is upstairs waiting for her to get her ready for the party. And they said they didn't really know. And she made a point to say, how could you not know who's in the house? A robber could be here and you wouldn't even know, which I thought was very interesting because obviously she cares about her family and her home and being safe. But I think also in light of Dorit's robbery, Garcelle seems to be, including, I think, along with Sutton and many others, actually taking precautions and actually is a little paranoid about something happening to her since someone in her close friend group had it happen to them. But we get more get ready FaceTimes, including indication Denise Richards is coming to the party and Diana is not. But quickly, Sutton corrects Kyle, saying, I did text Diana that morning just to be nice, and it looks like she is going to be attending, which at this point, Sutton seems to kindly be giving Diana the benefit of the doubt, but we will see how long that lasts. But Erika is now getting ready and says she is hopeful Jamie Foxx, the actor, who is a friend of Garcelle's for many years because Garcelle was on his show many years ago, she hopes he will be attending and questions if it even matters if he is single or not, which I thought was very interesting, but also very on brand for Erika, in my opinion, just saying. But Dorit then lets her daughter scribble in permanent marker on the Hermes bag. That was the gift for Garcelle. Not sure what to make of that, but there's going to be more on this front in a moment regarding Dorit and comment about Garcelle's gift related to Hermes. But everyone is now arriving to this star-studded birthday, including Erika saying hello to model, actress, and pageant person Allie Landry, who apparently Erika saw last at a TJ Maxx in La Cañada. Let me know if you believe Erika likes or actually does shop at TJ Maxx. Just a question. Erika then is introduced to Sutton's assistant, coupled with some polite conversation about gifting Garcelle, where Kyle and Dorit arrive to complimenting each other's sexually revealing outfits, including Sutton's, and seeing the Hermes Birkin bag cake, which of course Kyle is like, I would rather wear one than eat one, but Dorit subtly shades Garcelle, saying, oh, how cute, it's her first one, which we'll get an update on if Garcelle actually hasn't bought one yet later on her Watch What Happens Live appearance recap. But we then see more stars, including Garcelle's The Real co-hosts Lonnie Love and Adrienne Bailon, Adrienne Houghton now, before Garcelle arrives with all the men in her life, and more stars are spotted, including Sheree Shepherd. Now, finally, we see Diana arriving while confessing she thinks Garcelle may be seeing her as a diva right now, but showed up to genuinely honor her for her birthday, and therefore prevent people from calling her rude. Now, Garcelle confesses maybe Diana's language barrier had her use the term bed rest instead of nap, but nonetheless is happy to see her. But we see Diana's driver here delivering the present to Garcelle of what we learn is the book Room 23 that was brought up on the girls' trip. And it looks like Diana signed the copy and adorned it with a white rosé bouquet of flowers, and basically says it was very hard to find. It's sold out and it's very valuable, blah, 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 which was a subtle passive-aggressive gift that Garcelle clearly received the shade well, but let it slide as a gag gift olive branch for now. Now, as Diana is making her hello rounds, Sutton confesses her suspicion over how quickly Diana is out and about, considering the severity of the recent text to the group. This will come up again in a moment. But Garcelle then shares with Kyle that Kathy is not attending, saying that Kathy told her she was in Pasadena, but sent a beautiful cake instead. But Kyle shares Kathy likely wasn't actually in Pasadena City, but using that as a term to say, I'll pass Adina, which is another Kathyism still present in this season, even though Kathy has not made her grand return on screen yet, hopefully very soon. But we see then Garcelle's oldest son teaching younger brother the ropes of meeting and greeting around the party, particularly to Erika, who, after they walk away, says, with an agreement from Crystal, how hot Oliver is. They change their adjective, however, when Garcelle comes over and they compliment her kids to her face. We then pivot to Garcelle getting in on the Birkin bag cake joke, saying to Erika and Crystal, well, this is the closest I'll ever get to a real Birkin, saying she just cannot justify spending that much on a bag. I completely agree with her. The sticker shock of many thousands of dollars on a purse is just mind-blowing. But Crystal says, no, you won't have to wait that long. One day you will get one. But then Sharee arrives, greeting Sutton. Apparently Sharee, Sutton, and Garcelle are already on a united front. But now as Sharee meets the other girls, they are filled in on the Will Smith connection we were reminded of earlier. And now Diana is over talking to Kyle, showing off her accessory, which is a $250,000 diamond clasp Birkin bag. $250,000 on this small bag. Where Diana shares a quote-unquote funny story of loading up her car during the Malibu fires. Yes, those same Malibu fires that we saw Denise and Camille share on the show a few years back. She loaded up her car with Birkin bags and other high-valued items, which I would normally hate on, but if you were suffering or your house was about to burn down, you could definitely resell all those bags to rebuild your house if you needed to. Just saying. But I do know, even if you were to close your home and seal it, the fire or the smoke from the fires would damage basically everything inside if it didn't completely burn down everything. But I wouldn't call it funny per se. Diana also at one point seemed paranoid of leaving the $250,000 purse by itself anywhere. And it made me wonder why someone would buy a purse that expensive or flaunt how pricey it is if you were that worried about it being stolen or about it being left somewhere, unless it is more about status and braggadociousness, if you will. But have we not learned from what just allegedly happened to Dorit in her home? Just saying. But only a select few people would even know how expensive that bag is unless you told everyone in the party. So just kind of weird. But the girls are all sitting reminiscing on a bad 2020 where Sheree gets all hippy-dippy saying, well, it was a spiritual awakening for me, saying she made peace with her vagina. And this leads to conversation around self-touch and others touching their female anatomy growing up, and leading to a flashback of course, Pantygate, which was Dorit's first season on the show, and I think one of her first scenes where Erika shared she wasn't wearing any panties, and of course, it threw the whole season into a tailspin with PK and whatnot. And they continue here in this scene throwing the pussy word around, leading to a comical entrance from none other than PK himself, who obviously can take a joke about the irony of him walking up during that conversation. And as much as I've been giving the Kemsleys a hard time this season, PK does add a lot of humor to this group. And also, I think Sharee is kind of funny and seems to fit in very well with this group right away so far. I think it does help, though, that she already has a genuine connection with Sutton and Garcelle, it appears, and also has reality TV experience many years ago on the VH1 reality show Hollywood X's. All right, back to Diana with Kyle, where Kyle is sharing her reaction to the group text, where Diana says, I don't drop bombs, I drop nukes. Bring on the bazookas, where Kyle then fills Diana in on Sutton's flustered reaction to the plane ride home seating drama, saying, well, I am very direct. And Kyle uses this to say how easy of a travel companion she is. Maybe she's making sure she solidifies her seat on the next private jet ride, citing her last to arrive status to the plane, but not caring where she sat. Diana adds, though, she has Sutton stored in her phone as bacon-eating vegetarian, also adding she usually takes a breath before going in for the kill. I think Diana coming on strong verbally is a defense mechanism at this point, on the opposite end of the spectrum as Crystal, who usually bottles everything up. Now, Garcelle then blows out her candles, and we see lots of fun dancing on the dance floor, including a Soul Train line where we learn Rob is nicknamed Hip Hop Rob by their friends, followed by Garcelle's son confused after seeing his mom grab Kyle's breasts on the dance floor, and Kyle breaking out her splits again, but appears to be under and approaching a shoeless Lonnie Love. She then adds that she can also raise her leg above her head, but that costs money, where her laugh at herself in the confessional has me doing a slight double take at her closest resemblance yet to nieces Paris and or Nikki Hilton. Just thought it was interesting and it flashed before my eyes. But now things are about to get heated and come to a head, with Sutton pulling Diana over to the side to check in, which was very coldly received. Now, this leads Sutton asking how you can be on bed rest, but at this party, adding Diana is going to need to clear this up because it does not make any sense. We then learn Diana had the miscarriage only 12 weeks ago, which Sutton says, I understand because I had 2 miscarriages myself. Of course, this is going to give fuel to Diana continuing her narrative of thinking Sutton makes everything about herself. But Diana isn't having any of it, basically mocking Sutton to her face, indicating she thinks Sutton is saying a whole bunch of gibberish and nonsense. But Sutton isn't having any of it, though, attempting to get back the conversation on track by calling Diana out on her immaturity here by mocking her to her face. But when Diana continues to egg Sutton on and threaten to headbutt her, which I was shocked Sutton did not seem fazed by that comment, Sutton tries again, saying, I was trying to say I'm sorry you are on bed rest, but Diana goes further saying, stop, you are the phoniest person I've ever met, you are not sorry, and then she just throws in a casual, oh, by the way, you're boring too. I can forgive everything else, but I cannot forgive you're boring. And Diana confesses she regrets even sharing about her late brother to Garcelle and Sutton on the boat last episode, saying Sutton talks a lot, but her not listening a lot shows her lack of empathy. Now, Sutton adds that the story you shared, and this is in person again, not in a confessional, about your brother resonated with me, but then she confesses Diana calling her fake is projection, which at this point, I agree. But now Kyle attempts to join the conversation, not realizing what she just walked into, where Sutton tried to get her and now Garcelle to not add fuel to this fire, where Garcelle is shocked about what is happening, but defends herself in calling Diana rude last episode based on what she has seen, saying, I don't have a problem with you, Diana, but now Diana seems adamant to fight everyone, asking Garcelle to bring it on at her own party. So clearly, Diana came in here to just blow up the entire thing. But then Sutton goes in again saying, wow, the bed rest did you good, Diana, because this is a different Diana than before. And Garcelle backs this up in her confessional, where Diana brings up the bacon-eating vegetarian thing again, with now Kyle backing her up on that, saying, well, it is important because it is showing some contradictions and things going on. But then Sutton fills in Kyle and Garcelle on what she was trying to do, but Diana is really on the defense now, calling Sutton frail and old, and accuses Garcelle of being Sutton's mouthpiece. Now, Garcelle walks away calling Diana a bitch, trying not to let this ruin her party with her kids present, and Sutton also tries walking away calling Diana an asshole and Mrs. 8675309, of course, reference to Jenny Got Your Number song, which that was funny, but Kyle is still around trying to work this out while also semi-egging it on, where Sutton and Diana are still clashing over the group text, with Sutton saying the text did come off trying to cause trouble but forcing their hand in a response by coupling it with sad news of the miscarriage, calling Diana a soulless person, with Diana responding kind of iconically, I have to admit, with the, you need a new villain? Well, here I am. And this whole thing gave me flashbacks to the whole Munchausen fiasco with Lisa Rinna and Yolanda Hadid many years ago. Let me know if you thought the same thing, but Dana Wilkie did point out seeing some fans internet sleuthing on Diana's social media, where it appears there is some questions on the timeline of this alleged pregnancy and miscarriage. Some are alluding to potentially it's actually in reference to a surrogate carrying a baby for Asher and Diana, but we'll have to see how this plays out further on the show, in the public, and at the reunion later on. So the episode ends with the girls talking about missing in action, MIA, Denise Richards, where Garcelle seemed disappointed she didn't show up after saying she would, but didn't seem like it was world ending to her. However, this gave the rest of the girls, and particularly Erika, an easy reason to go in on Denise as a bad friend, continuing the narrative and opening the release valve for pent-up aggression of years-old drama at this point with Denise and this group. But all this is to be continued next week, including what appears to be Erika going too far with one of Garcelle's kids. Speaking of Garcelle, she was the guest on Watch What Happens Live, and not only did she tease that Erika drama for next week, but also continued to make me like her even more. She just seems really cool, and I think her star-studded birthday confirms she's just a very likable person and is the reason she's been relevant in Hollywood for multiple decades. But we then get some updated thoughts on some things happening this season from Garcelle, including conceding to Lisa Rinna that she did in fact text Denise. Garcelle then called Diana nuts over calling her the least welcoming, and called Diana uneducated over some off-camera recent drama of Diana responding to a blogger who has been critical of her physical transformation over the years. And after some back and forth, Diana said, it can't feel good being a black content creator. There's a whole bunch of drama going on there. But Garcelle then weighs in on Crystal's Watch What Happens Live appearance a few weeks ago, agreeing with Kyle, saying Crystal flat out lied about there being more to the race conversation between her and Sutton. But then Garcelle drops big news of her recently buying herself a Birkin bag, but was hesitant to bring it up to her closet at first because it would mean to her she actually owned it, and that was the point of no return on this large purchase. So Garcelle, congratulations on not only a new house this season, but also a new bag that probably costs as much as the house. But anyways, thank you so much for tuning into this episode 8 recap. I hope you will join me in the next one. Of course, you can always click around the channel for more. Until next time, thank you for having me in your online life, and I will talk to you in the next one.